They say that the most dangerous monsters are the ones who don't look like monsters at all, but rather like the person you see in the mirror. Imagine a predator that doesn't hunt in the woods, but in the boardroom, the bedroom, and the sacred spaces of your own mind. We're living in an era where the social mask has become more real than the face beneath it, and most of us are walking through life completely blind to the fact that we are being studied, categorized, and harvested for our emotional labor. Within the vast landscape of the human psyche, there exists a specific constellation of traits so potent and so destructive that psychologists have termed it the Dark Triad. It is a trinity of shadow, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, forming a perfect storm of manipulation that allows certain individuals to navigate the world as apex predators of the spirit. You have likely met one today, and you might have even smiled at them, unaware that behind their eyes a complex calculation was being made about your ultimate utility. This is not just a study of personality, it is an exploration of a hidden war for dominance that is being fought in every conversation you have. By the time we reach the end of this journey, you will understand the singular, terrifying realization that these three shadows share, a final secret about the nature of human connection that once seen can never be unseen. But to understand the predator, we must first understand the hunger. The first point of this dark triangle is the narcissist, the architect of a grand, shimmering illusion. While common wisdom tells us the narcissist is someone in love with themselves, the reality is far more tragic and far more dangerous. They are not in love with themselves. They are in love with an idealized image of who they wish they were, a golden idol built to hide a hollow core of absolute nothingness. Think of the narcissist as a black hole wrapped in neon lights. They require a constant stream of external validation, what we call narcissistic supply, to sustain the fiction of their existence. Without your admiration, without your fear, and without your attention, they cease to exist in their own minds. This is why the narcissist's game is so addictive. They invite you into a world where everything is heightened, where you are the most important person in the world, only to eventually reveal that you were merely a mirror, placed at the perfect angle to reflect their own perceived glory back at them. But a narcissist alone is just a performer without a stage. To truly understand how they seize control of your reality, we must look at the second pillar, Machiavellianism. Named after the strategist Niccolo Machiavelli, this trait is the cold, calculated engine of the Dark Triad. If narcissism is the thirst for glory, Machiavellianism is the blueprint for how to steal it. To the Machiavellian, people are not individuals with feelings, hopes, or dreams. They are chess pieces, or perhaps more accurately, they are tools. A hammer does not have rights. A hammer has a function. The Machiavellian views the world through the lens of utility and exploitation. They are the masters of the long game, willing to play the part of the humble servant or the loyal friend for years just to reach a position where they can pull the rug from beneath your feet. They operate on the principle that the ends always justify the means, and the means are almost always deceptive. They don't just win, they ensure that you lose in a way that benefits them most. As we peel back these layers, you might begin to feel a cold shiver of recognition, a sense that the kindness you've experienced from certain people was actually a carefully laid trap. This leads us to the third and most unsettling point of the triangle, psychopathy. This is the element of the triad that provides the necessary coldness to execute the Machiavellian's plan and sustain the narcissist's ego. It is characterized by a complete lack of empathy and remorse. While the narcissist needs you to love them, the psychopath simply doesn't care if you do. They are characterized by a deficit in the emotional hardware that makes most humans human. Where you feel a pang of guilt for a white lie, they feel nothing but the thrill of the hunt. They are the silent passengers in the vehicle of the triad, the ones who can look you in the eye and tell you they love you while mentally calculating how much money you have in your bank account. These three traits rarely exist in isolation. They bleed into one another, creating a composite personality that is both magnetic and lethal. It is a psychological alchemy that turns human connection into a commodity. You see, the Dark Triad individual doesn't just want your things, they want your soul. They want to break your sense of reality so completely that they become the only thing you can trust. This process begins with a technique so subtle it often feels like a miracle: love bombing. In the beginning, they mirror every desire you have. They become exactly who you need them to be. They listen with an intensity that feels like worship. But this is not love. It is data mining. They are learning your weaknesses, your insecurities, and your triggers so that when the time comes to flip the switch, they know exactly where to strike to ensure you stay under their thumb. The transition from the pedestal to the pit is often sudden and inexplicable. One day you are the center of their universe, the next you are a nuisance, a burden, or a disappointment. This is the devaluation phase. It is here that the Machiavellian strategy becomes clear. By withdrawing the affection they once showered upon you, they create a state of emotional withdrawal in your brain that is biochemically identical to heroin addiction. You will do anything, sacrifice any part of yourself just to get back to that initial high of their approval. They have successfully moved from being a partner to being a servant. The ultimate truth of their power lies not in their strength, but in your willingness to believe in a version of them that never actually existed. As the fog of manipulation thickens, we must confront the concept of gaslighting, the primary weapon used to maintain the narcissist's fragile reality. Gaslighting is not just lying, it is a systematic dismantling of your perception of the truth. It starts small. You remember a conversation one way, they insist it happened another. You notice a red flag, they tell you that you are being too sensitive or crazy. Over time, these small erosions of the truth create a massive sinkhole in your confidence. You stop trusting your eyes, your ears, and your gut. You begin to look to the manipulator to tell you what is real. This is the ultimate victory for the Dark Triad individual, to own the very faculty of your reason. They become the judge, the jury, and the executioner of your reality. But why does this work so effectively? Why are even the most intelligent, self-aware people susceptible to the siren song of the shadow? It is because these individuals exploit the very things that make us human: our desire for connection, our capacity for empathy, and our hope for redemption. They use our virtues as weapons against us. The Machiavellian knows that a good person will always give someone the benefit of the doubt, so they provide just enough doubt to keep you trapped. They know that an empathetic person will try to heal them, so they present themselves as a broken soul in need of saving. They turn your heart into a cage, and they are the only ones with the key. This brings us to a darker realization, one that many are afraid to voice. We often think of the Dark Triad as a deviancy, a glitch in the human matrix, but what if it's not? What if it's a feature? In the cutthroat world of modern hyper-capitalism and digital status seeking, the traits of the Dark Triad are often rewarded. The CEO who can fire thousands of people without a second thought, the influencer who crafts a fake life to garner millions of followers, the politician who uses fear to consolidate power, these are often the heroes of our age.
We are living in a society that is increasingly structured to favor the Machiavellian and the narcissist. We are being conditioned to view each other as brands to be consumed rather than souls to be known. In this environment, the predator doesn't have to hide, they just have to be successful. The deeper we go into this labyrinth, the more we see that the narcissist's game is not just played on an individual level, but on a systemic one. It is a game of shifting shadows. Notice how the most toxic people often claim to be the victims of the very things they are doing. This is the Darvo technique: deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. It is the ultimate shield. By claiming the status of the victim, the manipulator gains the social protection that empathy provides, making it almost impossible for the actual victim